Hey everybody, I'm Lee with Olsen Equine, and I hope you're having a fantastic day, because today we're going to talk about pads. And there is an ocean of pads out there. There's a lot of gimmicks. We're going to just talk about some of our favorites today. I've got Jeb Hunt, I've got Kelton Harris with us, and we're each just going to tell you about some of our favorites. Kelton, Jeb, you go first.
All right. Here's one of our go-to pads, a 3D pad. I don't know if you guys have these, but if you don't, you need to try some out. So this is a flat one, so they're really good for horses that may have some sore heels, but they also leave you some traction at the toe area, it leaves it open. But say you got one with a sore heel, you slap one of these babies on there and float that heel, and they seem to like that a lot. Also, horses that have some failing heels and maybe need a wedge, 3D comes in a wedge like that. Like I said, we use it every day, one of our favorite pads. All right, so why a flat pad or why a wedge pad when it comes to the 3Ds? Well, negative palmar and negative plantar angles is probably one of the #1 things that we see when they come into the shop. And we've had really good luck with wedging those angles up with a 3D pad because it keeps the heels from sinking in as an open toe, so the toe can still sink in and get traction, especially on barrel horses and race horses. So this can be a great combo for that. And if you're on the hind feet that have negative plantar angles, they make it in a hind shape, which makes it so much easier to fit your shoe to that. And then choosing your dental impression material is also important. So like on a bigger horse that needs more support, the medium might be a good option. We probably use the majority blue for kind of all around things, but then like when Lee's talking about aluminum plates with laminitic horses, they get along comfortable with the orange because it's really soft. So, but it's just knowing the case, knowing what you're working on. Like some people will say, well, I tried 3D pads, they didn't work. Well, it's all part of the application, knowing the horse, knowing the problem. Also important to be able to communicate with your vet. And if they have radiographs to where you can judge on if they need a wedge or if they would need a flat pad, that's super important too. So, but it's all just about, this is just a great option for a barrel horse or anything in the performance industry that has sore heels or just needs support in the back half of their foot. These pads are sweet. All right, so here's an example of the blue Mustad hoof cushion paired with their Equilibrium roller. This is probably one of the most common things we use every day. And it was originally designed for race horses so that, their toe could still sink in on the track, but it'd keep their heels up and elevated. Any kind of clay is super important to be putting under your dental impression material because as you can see, like with this, it's going to get down into your commissures and anywhere where there's a groove or a gap that this can sink into can cause a pressure point on the horse that's going to really be uncomfortable. So any kind of clay is great. This is just one that we like. So, and there's other options too. Like say a horse needs full protection. This is another pad that you can use, frog support wedge. But then that way it's more rigid and it protects the whole foot. So, there's a bigger one.
All right, let's talk about the aluminum plate. This is one of my favorite pads to use, mainly because there's so many options with it. So, for instance, this is our laminitic setup. I love this, especially on one that you've got lined out. So this creates depth. We've done the salad bowl modification where we cup our shoe out, but then we also cup the pad out, as you can see right here. So that's going to create vertical depth. This is a St. Croix Advantage shoe, and then we welded some Hanton clips on it to glue it on. Also paired with some comfort mix. They absolutely love this setup, mainly because it protects their sole. Laminitics have very sensitive sole because they usually have some form of rotation, meaning founder. So this makes it to where nothing can hurt the sole because nothing gets to touch it. Next phase is, this is a setup for a broken coffin bone. This is a bottle cap shoe with lots of clips all the way around it and with a heart bar shoe. But just adding the aluminum plate adds a ton of rigidity, and I highly recommend you try using that next time Of course, you can make a hospital plate with it. This is really handy because if there's an issue in the sole, you create this plate that you can screw on and screw off, and you can doctor the sole, and you can slip it right back in there. Very great modification. Then there is this spider plate. So this is in the same family as the 3D pads. Love the 3D pads too, but this will add a lot more rigidity. You can see it's open here, open here, open there. So this needs to be paired with some comfort mix. What kind you use depends on what you're doing. So softer for more sensitive issues and more pressure, positive pressure you want to have on the frog, the more firm you're going to want. So the soft or even the medium. So lots of options there. Just do not forget, it's the wizard, not the wand. Okay? So you can do all this stuff right, you can do all this stuff wrong. And Kelton is going to talk about our other favorite pad.
Yep, so I hope everyone's having a good day. I'm here to talk about some leather pads. These are, probably one of the most used pads around. It seems like whenever you think of a pad, everyone just immediately thinks of a leather pad. You got a lot of versatility when it comes to a leather pad. You got a flat regular leather pad, you got a wedge leather pad, you even got things like bar wedges or even rim pads. There's plenty out there. One of our most common uses is like a leather wedge on say a front shoe or something like that, where you really need, like, one of the most common problems that we have come in are horses that have caudal heel failure or some sort of like thin-walled or even something along those lines, where a leather pad specifically is going to be very useful. Most of the time we'll just go with a flat leather pad. The only real thing with leather pads though that are an issue are not rigid enough usually. There's plenty of different kinds of leather. Like you can see this one's fairly rigid, but not enough to where, as if you were talking about one like this, I mean, you can practically fold this thing and crease it. So you got to be really selective with the kind of leather pad that you're wanting to use for specific cases. But with that being said, they can be one of the most versatile pads. You can pretty much modify it however you need to. A lot of the times what we'll do is cut out the toe on some of them if we're looking to get a little extra traction or a performance horse or something like that. But we'll always pair them with, like Jeb was showing you, with these hoof cushions and this clay. It's the same concept. But if you go with a fuller pad that you need the whole thing, make it a nice stable environment under there, we'll usually go with some sort of hoof pack, whether that be, something really soft such as magic cushion or any other kind, but we'll always put that up at the toe, and that will really help, keep anything out of there and keep a nice solid, soft environment underneath the pad for you. But that's really what we got for pads here, so I'm sure Lee will get us wrapped up here.
All right, so with the leather pads, I think that is an amazing pad. Just like any of this stuff can be in the right situation. The issue can be those that people say, I tried leather pads, or I tried this. Don't forget, it's the application, right? So if you have an issue in the sole, all the leather pad is doing is adding some depth and protection. It's still not going to stop it from pushing up. So you might be looking for a little more rigid pad, like a hard plastic, or spider plate, or an aluminum pad itself. I mean, you put one of these babies on them, you can ride them anywhere, and nothing is getting in there. Nothing's touching it. So keep an open line. Don't forget about your packing. There's also pour-in pads. Comfort Mix makes a pour-in pad, and there's a lot of different ways we could do. We have done whole videos on that. You can put some mesh in it. It'll hold it in tight. There's lots of tricks to the trade. You can have extra soft, medium, hoof packings, clays, pour-ins, oils, you name it, you can do it. Just remember to think about one thing. Why are you doing it? And does the product that you're using help achieve that? I hope you have a great day, and God bless America.